That is mastery. It's an intuitive feel for the instrument that you are using. And to tell you the truth, it is the most joyous experience a human being can have.
The way the world works is you don't achieve anything unless you have limits. Having limits and hitting that wall and that resistance is what makes you learn, is what makes you great, is how the human brain functions.
Social skills are a muscle. And if you don't ever exercise that muscle, you're just going to be really flabby and you'll never get anywhere.
You have to get out of this way of thinking that so many people have, which everything has to be simple and linear, and I'm headed in this direction, there's got to be a solution, like I'm hacking my way to the truth. Life doesn't work that way. Life is very complex. So I can't give you a single track answer to finding your life purpose, you as an individual, but I can give you kind of clues. I can kind of direct you towards certain paths that have worked for me and that have worked for hundreds of thousands of other people who've become masters or very successful in their field. And the first thing is you have to go inward. So you have to resist the pull that our culture gives you. You have to also really want this. That's probably what it really comes down to. Are you unhappy? Are you frustrated? Are you hitting kind of rock bottom? Is this a turning point in your life where you realize if I keep going this way in 5 years, it's going to be really serious? Okay, it has to be important to you and you have to have a sense of urgency. And with that sense of urgency, you have to make some decisions. And one of the decisions that's absolutely essential is to pay less attention to what other people are doing, to pay less attention to what other people are saying, to pay less attention to what people are telling you you should be doing, and to go inward and think about yourself and think about what you love and what your interests are that have nothing to do with what people are doing on social media, the things that grab you, that excite you deeply inside in a way that's almost irresistible. I've talked to people, I'd say more like around 30 years old, who say, Robert, I'm at this horrible job. You know, I'm in a fast food place or something. I don't remember what it was, or I'm a barista, whatever. You know, I'm so unhappy. I have a wife and I have 2 kids. What do I do, right? And so I go into their misery a little bit, and then I say, okay, let's first figure out something that you think you would really want in life. Something that will have an income, because you have to pay for your wife and your children. You can't just go off and write poetry or become a rock star. You have to support yourself and your family. What could that possibly be? And we dig and we dig and we dig. I say, all right, we have an answer, a kind of an idea. I want you to do the following. I want you to carve out 2 hours or as much as you can at night where you start exploring this field on the internet and you start considering maybe going to night school, okay, and taking classes that will change this course. And then I want you to think of 5 years where you're going to be a goal, 5 years ahead. And they tell me overnight, just having that has changed them. Suddenly from their depression, they have hope and they feel 1,000,000 times better and they have energy just from realizing that there is a possibility. It's going to take hard work. The way the world works is you don't achieve anything unless you have limits. Having limits and hitting that wall and that resistance is what makes you learn, is what makes you great, is how the human brain functions. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're learning the piano. You can't just start out playing anything and just doing all the notes. It's very limited what you can do, right? And you have to go within those limits and those walls and learn the first things first, and then those walls start to expand a little bit. But you're constantly pressing against limits, and those limits make you stronger and stronger. It's like when you're swimming, the resistance in the water is what makes your muscles bigger, right? Mm-hmm. The resistance of limits is what makes your brain bigger, makes you more successful, makes you learn. But if all you do is live in that nebulous world of possibility, you're never developing, you're never getting any muscle, you're never getting any strength. You're not developing life skills. It's a tough world, Stephen, you know that. People can be very cruel. It can be very mean-spirited world. You have to have a thick skin in this world. You have to develop some toughness. And you develop that toughness by trying things out and by failing. And if you fail, like my wife's in the film business and we know a lot of actors. An actor, you think it's all glamorous, but it's actually like 99% rejection. People are constantly rejecting you. And they're rejecting you for things that you have no control over, like your looks, And so what separates the actors who succeed and the ones who don't are those that have a bit of a tough skin. They don't take that rejection and go, oh, I'm so unworthy. I hate myself. Oh, the world's so awful. They go, all right, I'm going to go on to the next one. I learned what wasn't working there. And you develop some toughness. If you don't develop that toughness, you're never going to get anywhere in life. And you get it by trying and working at it.
To be vulnerable is to be open to being wounded, right? And a lot of people, particularly in the world today, they're deathly afraid of any kind of wound, of any kind of hurt. So they protect themselves. If I don't go out in the world, if I don't date people, if I protect myself, then I'm never going to feel hurt. I'm never going to feel rejected. And you want the opposite thing. To be rejected is okay. It's a good thing in life. It teaches you something. It teaches you about your limits. It teaches you about what maybe you did wrong. It also gives you a little bit of a thicker skin. You can endure it. I tell people, if you've been rejected, if you've been hurt, on to the next person. Just go on, find somebody else. Don't internalize it. So feeling vulnerable is letting go of your ego, letting go of that tightness, letting go of that ability to protect yourself at all costs from any kind of hurt. You want to fail in life, you want adversity. Failing in life is the best education that can ever happen to you, right? And failing in life is a deep wound, but it teaches you very valuable lessons. So if you go through life where I don't want to ever feel hurt, I don't ever want to feel criticized or to fail, you're never going to learn, you're never going to succeed, you're never going to be powerful. The best way to not be insecure is to succeed, is to do something, to accomplish something that gives you a degree of real confidence. Because there's fake confidence. There are people who think that they're wonderful, but they're not really wonderful. And that's masking a lot of insecurity, and we can kind of read that off them. But if you actually achieve something, if you actually reach a goal, you set yourself a goal. I'm going to start a business when I'm 25. You start that business and it fails. Okay, but I had the cojones to start that business in the first place. I can feel pretty good about that, right? That gives you confidence. But if you never try it, if you never try to start that business, you may feel protected, but you're insecure, and that insecurity will haunt you the rest of your life, right? So the best way to not feel secure is to accomplish something, is to get off your butt and do something, to act in this world, to try and achieve a goal. There are people who have a talent for repelling others, right? Okay, so they talk too much. They know everything, okay, right? A lot of women have this experience. The man will get, they're explainers. They know everything, and they just talk about themselves, and they know, answer to everything. Very anti-seductive, because it shows that you're only interested in yourself, right? People who preach and moralize is very anti-seductive. A seducer wants to be open, wants to be non-judgmental, wants to be tolerant of the other person. That shows that you're kind of secure. You're not insecure. You can reduce all of the anti-seductive traits to great deals of insecurity that come out, right? You're on a date and you're always thinking about yourself. Am I saying the right thing? Does she or he like me? How are they viewing me? As opposed to being interested in them and their world. What are they thinking of? What are their likes and preferences? Not about you, it's about them. Your ability to understand people, not virtually, but in the flesh, eye contact, being able to be in front of them, to talk to them, not through a screen, but actually there, to actually have to be funny, to actually have to communicate, to actually have to say something interesting, to actually have to express interest in their world. You need to be in front of them. You need to be there and see them. And in doing that, you run the risk of doing the wrong thing, because on that computer, on your phone, you can kind of make yourself seem like, the hottest thing on the planet. You can create a whole fantasy that's not real. But when you're there together, everything's real, and you're going to say something stupid, or you're going to not look so great, or your hair's going to be all messed up, whatever. It's okay. You've got to learn human skills. You've got to go out there and you have to deal with people, because if you don't, it will ripple outside of your dating world into your work world, into your social world. You won't know how to deal with colleagues. You won't know how to say something. You won't know how to be charming to people, right? You'll be all shy and nervous. Well, swiping. It doesn't take anything. But to go to a bar or to come up to a stranger and try to talk to them and try and get them interested, man, that takes guts. And you're being timid, you're being weak, you're being a coward. Put yourself out in the world, face rejection, and try and develop some real people skills, because social skills are a muscle. And if you don't ever exercise that muscle, you're just going to be really flabby and you'll never get anywhere. What mastery is essentially using the human brain, this immense organ, this gift that you have been given, the most powerful instrument that we know in the universe, the billions of neurons that are there, the connections, it's immensely powerful. Mastery is using that brain that you were gifted with to the maximum effect that it has, to reach a level of not just creativity, but to have an intuitive feel for exactly what's going to come next. So if you're a soccer player, you know exactly, like Pele did, or Messi, exactly where the players are going to be. You can anticipate them with a great pass, or like a great basketball player. You're a chess master. The chessboard is in your head. You have seen 15 moves in advance, whereas the other person's only seeing a couple of moves in advance. You're a pianist, and the piano is so deeply inside of you that you don't have to even look at your fingers. It just flows out of you. That is mastery. It's an intuitive feel for the instrument that you are using. And to tell you the truth, it is the most joyous experience a human being can have. You know, maybe even more joyous than the sex we were talking about, but I'm not going to go that far. I think it does. Because, you know, sex is like, I'm not, you know, don't get me wrong here. But, you know, sex is like a continual hunger. You never really feel satisfied. You want more and more and more of it. And then there are moments of pain, you know, and you feel like afterwards, like sometimes I know as a man, sometimes you feel kind of almost sad or depressed afterwards. Mastery is like this high that just continues on and on and on. You don't have to think anymore. All these great ideas come to you. Now, granted, this is something that not many people experience, because they talk about 10,000 hours. This is 20,000 hours. This is 25,000 hours of work. And it's very high level. But it's like a continual mental orgasm, because things just come to you. The greatest ideas, you know, you see perfectly exactly what has to come next. It's a wonderful feeling. Well, Freddie is a great guy, and he's probably the most successful boxing coach. He also does mixed martial arts as well. In history, his record speaks for itself. But what interested me in the story of Freddie Roach was, and I met him and I got to know him very well, is he was not a great boxer. He was not a master boxer. He was a journeyman, right? You know, he took a lot of punches. His record was good, but wasn't great. He was not bad, but he was maybe a mediocre boxer. And his career is over at an early age. He took too many punches. I don't know exactly how old, early 30s. And as a lot of people in that situation, like you mentioned, Olympic athletes, he was very depressed. And he's wandering around Las Vegas trying to make a living, and he's doing telemarketing, you know, and he's like reaching the bottom there, you know, he's I don't know if he's suicidal, but he's close to it. And then he wanders into a gym, and he starts sort of seeing some boxers training there, and he starts helping one of them. And I mentioned that moment where Joost Elfer said, "Robert, do you have any ideas for books?" And suddenly, whoa, yeah. Helping this person, suddenly he had that light bulb go off in his head going, this is what I was meant to do. I'm not a very good boxer, but I am a great teacher. I know boxing. I know the strategy. It's all in my head. I couldn't perform the right thing, but I know about it in my head. And he was able to translate that skill. So I love that story for the ability, the lesson that it has, that you might be that lawyer who's 29 years old, who's like Freddie Roach, who's boxed out, who's taken concussions, who's taken too many punches to the head. And you can segue into something else and become a master, as long as you understand that Freddie didn't go saying, oh, I'm going to become a politician. I'm going to become a writer. I'm going to become a rock star. No, he's going to take his boxing skills and become a great teacher. And over the course of 10, 15, 20 years of teaching, he knew every little aspect of what we call the beautiful sport, the strategy of boxing. He had it in his head. He wasn't the man punching, but he was the man telegraphing, telling people how to punch. I think it's an amazing story, an amazing lesson.